I know nikifanya hii video watu wengi mtaniingilia kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa wale walikuwa na kampeinia President William Ruto wakati alikuwa anafanya campaign. Ndio at least nione hustler amepanda kwa hiyo kiti, amekalia hiyo kiti, mtoto wa maskini amekaa na matajiri. Vile amekaa saa hii akidiscuss na ma-presidents all over the world, that nasema mtu ambaye alivaa kiatu akiwa miaka 14 kama mimi vile nilivaa kiatu nikiwa mzee, at least amekalia ile kiti kubwa. But I think Mr. President, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was very right wakati alikuwa nakataza Kenyans against electing President William Ruto. And one thing tulikataa kujiuliza, especially sisi watu wa Mount Kenya, ni kwamba President Uhuru Kenyatta alikuanga rafiki ya William Ruto, na alikuwa anajua kwamba kama si usaidizi wa rafiki yake ambaye alikuwa anaitwa William Ruto, hangekuwa president yeye mwenyewe. But one thing that we Kenyans ignored, especially we the youths and especially we the Kikuyus from Mount Kenya, is the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta was not a madman to rise against his own friend and go for that enemy that we called the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Now, lazima tukubali kwanza, even before I continue, we must agree and admit that the president is playing with our minds. That President William Ruto is playing with our mind. Na hakuanza kitambo, hakuanza saa hii, hakuanza jana, alianza kitambo. Now listen to me and watch this video until the end, and then you will tell me whether you agree with me or not. First of all, I'm not a lawyer. Second of all, I'm not a politician. Third of all, I am not a political analyst. So the whole of this video nitaifanya with a layman's perspective, yani mtu ambaye hana masomo ya hali ya juu ambayo yanaweza fanya analysis ama yanaweza angalia mambo vile yanafanyika. But just as a common man, I have common sense that I think, and I want you to tell me at the end of this video in the comment section, na usisahau kusubscribe kama unakubaliana na mimi ama unakataa. President William Ruto alianza kutucheza sisi watu wenye walimchagua ama wale watu wanampenda na wale wenye ampendi hata kabla hajachaguliwa. And the first trick, the first game yenye president alituchezea ni wakati alichagua Rigathi Gachagua kama running mate wake. And for you to understand this, I'm a resident of Kiambu, na nimetembea Kiambu, Wakikuyu kadhaa nimewauliza, how do you think about President William Ruto, how he chose Rigathi Gachagua as a president? Well, before tufanye election nilikuwa nafanya analysis na nilikuwa naambia watu vizuri sana. The president did not choose Rigathi Gachagua to be the deputy ati because Rigathi Gachagua could do so much for Kenyans, ama because ati Rigathi Gachagua angefanyia mambo kubwa sana kwa watu wa Mount Kenya. You see, Rigathi Gachagua was a one-term president. Not president. He was a one-term member of parliament, and before then alikuwa just a mere district officer, yani a DO, during the tenure of Moi, na hakuwa anajulikana kwa sababu ya mambo mengi. So the fact that President William Ruto ignore someone who was learned, a professor like Kithure Kindiki, akachukua Rigathi Gachagua was something that was supposed to raise a red flag yenye Wakenya walikuwa waangalie na waogope kama walikuwa na reason ya kuogopa. And you see, Rigathi Gachagua training yake as a chief and as a district officer ilikuwa mtu wa kusema yes sir and yes umesema wacha tufanye, alafu maswali yatakuja baadaye. That was as opposed to this guy, our friend Professor Kithure Kindiki, who would first question why you are telling me to say that, and then do after finding out that it is for the benefit and it is meant for something good. You see, one rule of leadership, and one thing that one day Professor Mutahi Ngunya alisema, is that the presidency is a jealous institution. na akaongeza akasema, one rule of leadership and one rule of power that no junior should overthrow or no junior should ignore or forget about this rule is that never outshine your boss. And I know for a fact that the deputy president should not outshine the president, and that is one of the reasons that the president Uhuru Kenyatta walikosana na deputy wake, because he was too smart. Being an academic, Dr. William Samoei Ruto was too smart for just a mere Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, the president William Ruto was not so stupid to take a professor when he is a doctor. So that is why he went for a Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. And the most important is that during that time hakuwa anataka sana kujua ni nini serikali yake itafanyia Wakenya. All he wanted was someone who would mobilize votes. And the simple thing that the president wanted is that he knew he had people in other regions except Mount Kenya. And Mount Kenya did not require a person mwenye ati wao kama watu wana rally behind ati watawafanyia kitu kubwa. They only wanted a person who would remind the people what William Ruto as a person had done for the people of Mount Kenya by supporting the president, in this case President Uhuru Kenyatta. And Rigathi Gachagua, as a yes-sir man and a no-nonsense man, would not take any joke or any advice from anybody related to President Uhuru Kenyatta, as long as the people of Mount Kenya keep reminded that they had a political debt to the president or the then deputy president William Ruto. And that is something that Rigathi Gachagua did very best. So until this moment, you all agree that we did not elect a deputy president who was a performer, or a deputy president who had the people's interests, the national interests, leave alone the Mount Kenyan interest, at heart. We did not elect a deputy president who had us at heart. So we elected a deputy president who had the president's interest at heart. That's number one. That's before election. Hapo tulichezwa. Then we come to after election. After election tulienda tukachagua the president, and then we gave him the powers in parliament. So in parliament, the president can do anything he wants because he has the majority. He has the majority party and he has the majority coalition. Let's come to the cabinet. Akachagua cabinet. The prime minister ni Musalia Mudavadi. Tukapatiwa mtu anaitwa Moses Wetangula kama speaker wa National Assembly. Akaangalia akaona mtu kama Alfred Mutua, akamweka kama Minister of Foreign Affairs, and that is not by the way by a mistake. The Minister for Foreign Affairs has not so much interaction with the Kenyans. And what I'm trying to say by mentioning those three is that those are three heads that seem that are interested to one day become presidents in this republic. You see, Musalia Mudavadi as a president, he cannot become a president unless he fights the existing government. And so the president William Ruto alijaribu akaona kwamba hawezi salimiana na Raila Odinga na Raila Odinga akubali kumfuata nyuma kusupport dream yake ya president. But Musalia Mudavadi was a simple game to play, and then afterwards atakuja kumanage your game. So he signed an MOU that Mudavadi atamsupport then, and then atamfanya prime minister. But the game was not about how Ruto would become president. The game is about, when I become president, how do I silence those who can bring me down? Now, we all know Musalia Mudavadi was one of them, and being given a position of a prime minister was one thing that would put Musalia Mudavadi into question on how the government of William Ruto worked. And each and every foul, every mistake that the government of William Ruto would do was to be asked to William Ruto and Musalia Mudavadi as number 2. So in 2027, when William Ruto will be calling for the second term, Musalia will not be one of the people who ask question. He will be one of the people who answer question. If he answers correctly, it's a tick for the accounting officer. In this case, it is a tick for the president. Okay, up to that point najua tunapelekana na najua hapo umeshikilia vizuri. The other person mwenye anataka kuwa president and who, if you ask me, naweza chagua akiweza simama from the way he worked in his backyard, akisimama mimi nitamchagua bila hata kuuliza swali, is none other than this guy you are calling the minister ama cabinet secretary for foreign affairs. This guy Alfred Mutua. You see, Alfred Mutua was one of the best performers as governor. In fact, talking about performing, he is the only governor who brought the White House yenye iko United States into Kenya. Ukienda Machakos utapata parliament ya Machakos inakaa kama White House ya Amerika. Ukienda Machakos, an arid area, where hakunanga mvua. Machakos is one of the counties hautasikia watu wakilia ati wako njaa, and that is in conjunction with Makueni County, the counterpart, Kivutha Kibwana. Those are two guys who did a lot of good jobs, and I think that would be something that Kenyans wangeangalia na wamu exchange na Kalonzo Musyoka as the Ukambani kingpin, and in exchange wamfanye president. If you were to ask me, Alfred Mutua is a future president of this country, but to put him in a foreign affairs docket is to make him forgotten by the Kenyans and by the people in his backyard, and it is to reduce the influence yenye anaweza pata ndani ya nchi na nje ya nchi, because as a foreign affairs, wewe unakumbuka minister mgani wa foreign affairs mwenye amewahi raise come back na akakuwa something bigger? You can only remain as a minister. There is nothing big you can become, only an appointed position. But coming back, kukuja after 5 years kukumbusha watu wake yale mambo walifanya, already Wavinyandeti atakuwa amefunika. So no future for that. Huyo ni Musalia Mudavadi is the first presidential aspiring president. Amegongwa kichwa, finished. Alfred Mutua, another one. Now there is another one called Moses Wetangula. Nasikianga pia yeye anataka kuwa president. Now he is the speaker of the National Assembly, and everything that the National Assembly passes mtakuja kujuta, and hii ni kitu ambayo tutauliza the speaker, because he was the driver of the National Assembly. So for that one I don't need to explain so much. Number 3 of how President William Ruto ametuchezea ni vile alichagua dunderheads in his government. And by dunderheads, wale ministers nitataja ni examples, na si kumaanisha wao ni dunderhead as such, but I mean a sycophant who does what the president has said without thinking about how good it is for Kenyans. Now, mmesikia minister wa education Machogu ameangalia akaona the government should not finance public universities, without asking himself, why do we call it public university? Now when you took the name public and put it in the word university and call it a public university, it means it is something that belongs to the public, and if it belongs to the public, then it must be functioning under the mercies of the public, and thus functioning for the good of the public. In this case, kama ni for the good of the public, then that public has to contribute to the functioning of that organization or that office. I'm trying to say that that office has to be funded by the public. But even before aseme, he has no time to think about that. Achana na huyo, twende kwa mtu anajiita Moses Kuria, the minister for trade. Is it trade? Yeah, trade. Anasema kwamba before tufanye election, during campaign, I remember one day President Ruto, when he was the deputy, alipiga Raila Odinga sana wakati Raila alisema kwamba ataleta nguo za Kenya, made in Kenya, na apige mtumba, ajue vile mtumba itaisha. In fact, wakasema kwamba Raila Odinga alisema mtumba ni ya watu wamekufa. Now this minister for trade alikuwa mmoja wa wale walikuwa wanasema Raila ametusi maskini. Now you know what he said some few days ago? Atapatia Kenyans another option, alafu atamaliza mituba. That means atamaliza mituba within the tenure within which he is the member of the cabinet, the Kenya's cabinet. That is when he is the cabinet member. Now these are the kinds of ministers wenye tumepatiwa. And as if that is not enough, we go to parliament. He has the control of everything. He has the mercy. He has all the mercies to serve us whatever law yenye President William Ruto anataka. I don't think tuko na bahati as Kenyans. Now, there's a new law that is proposed by one Kenyan. I think sijui ni which constituency. Anasema kwamba there is a plan by the Kenyan parliament to change the constitution to remove the 2 terms limit ya presidential service. Now anasema that limit inafungia wale presidents productive, na wangetaka kuitoa wa replace na 75 years age limit. Now this is a simple thing to tell us that President William Ruto would serve us for as long as Museveni has served the Republic of Uganda. Now all this, as a person who supported President William Ruto to become president, I feel threatened. Tuongeeni tu ukweli, I feel threatened and I don't feel safe as a Kenyan citizen that this is the right president and this is the president I chose to represent the hustler. But guys, that is my opinion. You have your own opinion under the constitution. You have the right to an opinion. And I would like to hear your views in the comment section. Being a supporter or not a supporter of President William Ruto, do you think this is the president that we elected as Kenyans? Well, najua I'm one of the victims wenye watapigwa kwa sababu ya kuelect President William Ruto, but nipigeni. Lakini one day President Uhuru Kenyatta stood and said that only fools don't change their stand, and I know I'm not a fool. Just subscribe and give me your opinion. Thank you guys. Let's meet in the next video, in the next talk. Asante kwa kuwatch. Aguza hiyo subscribe button usisahau.